This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining us today is Darren Hazelwood, the CEO of Panther Metals. Thank you for joining us, Darren. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks, Mark.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We're just going to spend a little bit of time just talking really about the year of 2022 for Panther Metals and then looking forward into next year as we are in, of course, the last week. The markets will close early on Friday. So, take us through the year, Darren. What are the highlights for you from Panther Metals' point of view? And if you were to look back, let's say 2021, you say the company's in a much stronger position now at the end of 2022?
Yeah, definitely. The company's never been in a stronger position. When you look at the year, I caveat all of this with it hasn't been reflected in the market, but it's been a challenging year in the resource space, which is nuts as far as I'm concerned. But we maybe cover that off in a while.
Sure.
But yeah, it's. As a company, we've seen the resource of Coglia. We hold 36.6% of the Australian entity. That's come in at over 70 million tonnes. Look, they've announced that they will require some more funding to develop Coglia. That's going to go well north of 100 million tonnes. I suspect towards 150 million tonnes in 2023. That's going to be a cracking investment for us as a business. We've got Fulcrum. Fulcrum have been delayed a little bit, but through the year we've seen that develop, getting closer and closer to listing. They are exceptionally confident that they will list in January of 2023, and that again is going to prove concept for us. We love the Big Bear project. I'm exceptionally confident that there's a discovery on that project. They've done some good work on the ground in 2022. And those guys are going to hit the ground running. They're going to be well funded. They've got the drill permits in place. They'll just go for it, and I think that will have a very positive effect on Panther as well. And then we go on to our own assets. We were Dotted Lake. We said that we were going to watch what Palladium 1 deliver, rather than actually getting ourselves directly onto the ground. They've delivered in spades. And when you look at their geological model and you look at Dotted Lake, you look at what we've potentially got there. We did the review of the historic soil sampling there, and that's raised quite a few eyebrows, and that's going to be high on our listing in 2023. It's been a very successful year for the Dotted Lake wider area in 2022. Probably you could almost go to the extent and say that it's a whole new district. And you're going to hear a lot more about it. And then over at Manitou, we brought the Manitou project in once we'd finalised the deal with Fulcrum. And the Manitou Lakes, that's continued to deliver. We got in on there on the soil programme, great soil grades. Now we've extended that area, and we'll be looking at IP and drilling in 2023. And that's, of course, without our core project area, which is Abonga. And Abonga, we'll wait on the assays. It's going to be in the new year now. We love the drilling that we conducted. We got over 1,500 metres done. We got a slight delay there in terms of just resetting things and building our relationship with the First Nations. That's now a more in-depth relationship, and it's definitely stronger. There's no doubt about that. And I was fortunate enough to have a wonderful time with Gold Bay and at their powwow this September. And it's certainly something I'd probably like to do on a personal level going forward again. So, and Abonga has continued to move forward. We drilled 3 out of the 5 targets. We like what we see. We're not going to know until we get the assays back. And we've still got a couple of targets to drill. So it is all systems go. The market has been challenging, but there's no doubts about that. And reasonably heavily criticised for our raise that was announced in early August. It was at a discount, but then since then I've seen a lot of well, interesting raises since. Some people will call some death spiral raises, etc., etc. But it's not easy out there to get capital into any of these businesses. And the fact is, if you want work done and you want these businesses moving forward, you've got to look at the capital and say, can these guys deliver with the capital that you're putting in? And I think in 2022, we delivered. Have we delivered the knockout punch that every explorer is looking for at this stage? No, we haven't, but we're a damn sight closer to it than we've ever been. And the broader spread of the business is a lot stronger, tighter. And look, it's got a very big future, Panther Metals now.
Okay, so really a year of highlights of really foundation building and also some realization, as you've mentioned, Panther Australia looking pretty good, and of course that's Panther has no commitment there financially, but will benefit from the reward. The Fulcrum IPO, of course, the Big Bear project, people will remember that from Panther. That should IPO hopefully soon. You've been watching Palladium 1, you say, so I hope to see less watching next year and perhaps more activity from Panther's point of view on your ground, but they've certainly had a lot of success there. As you mentioned, Manitou, good soil grades, and Abonga, your flagship project, the early stage drilling there, awaiting the all-important assay results. So that does sum up the year, I think, fairly well. Looking into next year then, Darren, do you have any key things you want to achieve? Are you looking at any timelines at the moment? Are you going to hit the ground running in the new year?
Yeah, I think what's going to drive the early part of the year will be the assays from Abonga. And that will set a tone for certainly for the early part of the year. But we'll also be looking to conduct IP at Dotted Lake over the winter, and also an IP survey at Manitou Lakes. Again, providing us with a bit more detail into our potential drill programs on those sites, and that would be our aim in 2023. In fact, to be honest, it's pretty much drill for 2023, but that isn't necessarily going to happen at very early stages of the year, because we just want to see what we've got at Abonga first.
Okay, but drill. So I guess one of the things you'd be looking out for, hopefully, is the discovery. Really, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? Not guaranteed, of course.
Listen, that's what drives every explorer, and that's what we're all aiming for. And the only way that you make those discoveries is by drilling. You can fiddle about on surface. We could have probably gone back to Dotted Lake and got some good grades at surface and good rock chips and good soils. We know they're there. We know they're in the bag in that location. We also know the exploration model. We could have done that again at Abonga, and we achieved it at Manitou, but that was a lot earlier stage. But the realities are that if anybody's invested in an explorer, you want that exploration company drilling, because that's the only way that you really move the needle. The needle will move up and down as it goes along, and unfortunately, sadly, in 2022, it's largely been down. But to get that movement that moves the business to the next levels, then you need that discovery. And the only way and that is
from drilling, exactly, and that is why people invest in explorers. So talking on that, then, if that's what the plan is for 2022, are you set up to do that? We talked a little bit about the market there and what might we can discuss what the predictions might be for next year. But in terms of actually be able to fulfill these drilling ambitions, is Panther in a good position to be able to do that?
Yeah, I'm very confident where we sit at the business. Would I dilute at these levels? No, but we've got more options available to us than simply going to the equity markets. So we'll judge things in the early part of 2023 before I sort of get into any real specifics on plans and timelines. We'll start to make decisions going forward. You've got to remember that there are other explorers out there that are sitting on cash, not just in the UK. And you've also got opportunities within the holdings that we've got to potentially release capital via them. I've always tried to keep things as non-dilutive as possible. Now, you always have to dilute, right? That's the name of this game. But you want to be going through the levels to do that. Unfortunately, this year we didn't go through those levels. But then we don't know yet if we have a discovery or we don't at Bonga. So, we could have been proved entirely right. Our timing was proved that it wasn't wrong this year in our raise. But markets have been brutal.
So what are your thoughts, Darren, on the markets then? You've mentioned there that, of course, 2022 has been a little bit tough. I think everyone in the space certainly knows that. You were at the Minds of Money conference, as was I, 2 weeks ago. And I got the feeling certainly that there was money available for good projects. And there was a little bit of an excitement in the air of what could be to come in this space. So what's your thoughts on the market and specifically the mining sector going into next year?
Look, the sector is sitting in a quite a unique place, Mark. You're looking at, I think this year, Chile in 2022, its production is down to levels last seen in 2004. I saw a report recently, the LME in London with silver. I think they're from 2021 to now, something like their storage capacity in silver down 75%. We're seeing, and specifically in the east on this one, where you get sort of Turkey and then moving east, you're seeing governments buying up gold in almost unprecedented numbers. The Fed in 2023 will pivot as well. I don't think people are quite, the dollar has weakened a touch, but people don't quite appreciate what's going on in America. They're going to see the equivalent of capital gains taxes in America. Income is forecast to drop by $600 billion. And you've got the interest rates now at such a level that they're going to get an additional funding requirement of $600 or $700 billion. Extra pledges of capital going out against 2022. I think it totals somewhere like $1.6, $1.7 trillion. And that's on top of a government and a state that's already having to find $2 trillion a year. So the Fed will pivot, and we'll see a 180 by the Fed. It's just a mathematical certainty. And I believe that will drive precious metals in 2023. But I also think that you'll see base metals continue to go. There is a serious undersupply in the market, and that's only going to get worse. And I think you're going to start to see the environmental movement or lobby come to the table on this, because I think that 2023, you're going to see quite a major shift. Because the realization is coming through that to achieve net zero, we're going to have the infrastructure built that requires the minerals to be mined. So it's going to have to be, everyone's going to have to come to the table. And I think that will happen in 2023. You've seen a lot of governments over in 2022 come up with their critical minerals lists. That's going to drive the debate. The governments have the power to bring everyone to bed, into bed, and then you're going to get some sort of solution and a longer term solution. But on the supply side, medium term, it is brutal. It's absolutely shocking, and that's not being reflected in the market, but that will be reflected. And is 2023 going to be the year? I don't know for certain, but I tell you now, the Fed will pivot, and you're seeing precious metals being bought up, and you're seeing a medium-term major supply crunch. And I do believe it will. I think London's a bit separate to Canada and Australia. London is desperate for a discovery. I think we're seeing investors that are battle weary. We can raise flow through in Canada, and they've just adjusted that again, and that has huge amount of tax benefits to the Canadian investors. There's loads of flow through available over in Canada. And Australia, again, it is weaker than it was, but there's more funding available. But I do wonder if these markets, though, understand the sector in more depth, really, than just a sort of maybe a trading opportunity. But look, I will be working damn hard to limit our dilution as much as possible as we look to drill as much as possible to get that discovery in the bag, to be able to take this business to the next level where it deserves to be now, and where we believe that we've got the assets that can deliver that discovery and take it to the next level. So it's going to be a very, very interesting year, and you could see things done in a slightly different way. One thing that come for investors in 2023 was that maybe our comms wasn't as sophisticated as some were looking for, but you're going to see the assets develop in a different way now, and so that's going to enable us to have more in-depth detail and more, but be able to pass that on to the market and onto our investors. So 2022, an absolute shocker. 2023, all bets are off the table.
Well, we are certainly living in interesting times in this space, but I do like what you say there, Darren, about the comms from Panther. Looking forward to following the developments across the board on the project with Panther Metals in 2023. And let's see if London does get that discovery that it's been missing for a long, long time. Well, thank you very much, Darren. I want to wish you a very happy Christmas and New Year, and we will speak again next year.
Mark, I wishing you and your family a happy Christmas as well, and to all our shareholders, past, present, or future ones, and to everyone out there, everyone that's playing the market. I genuinely wish you a happy Christmas and a great New Year. And look, let's all come back. Let's all come back fighting in the new year, because at the moment we need each other. And let's hope as the year progresses that we'll need each other a little bit less as more people come in as they see the opportunity, which I think is what's going to happen. Merry Christmas to all.
Darren Hazelwood, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.